Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. I'm Beatriz Mourad, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And April Collins.
Hi there.
Today we will be discussing episodes 24 and 25 of Fruits Basket. Let's go home, and summer will be coming soon. Warning for spoilers for everything that's aired up to this point, so basically a warning for the entire season. Some of us have read the manga, some of us have seen the early 2000s version of the anime, but we won't be spoiling anything beyond this season. Oh man, it feels so nice to say that.
Yeah.
Find more about this podcast at overlyanimated.com, and you can subscribe to us on iTunes at overlyanimated.com/iTunes. You can find us on Spotify, the link is on our website, or on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. All right, so briefly, I know that's impossible, but
Very
as
hard.
brief as you can, because we're going to get into it all.
Yeah, that's true.
So as brief as you can, tell me your thoughts on these two episodes together, Michelle.
These are definitely the big Kyo episodes that some commenters have been hinting about
For so long.
but I don't know. It's nice to get it now. It sure clears up a lot of stuff. I mean, we totally get Kyo's whole situation. He's doing better, thank goodness. I mean, like, I don't think I'm alone in saying this, but like, I definitely get the Kyo appeal now. I mean, so much happened, especially in episode 24, that just super won me over to like, oh man. And we'll get into it, but I mean, yay, Kyo. It didn't all crash and burn around him. Things do get better. Hooray. I mean, both the episodes were good. It's just like episode 24 was such an emotionally charged episode that had been culminating forever that it's kind of hard to judge 25 just back to back with that.
Right.
I mean, they're both good, but they're trying to do different things. And I have like a much stronger emotional response to the first one than the second one, but they're both very good. So yeah.
Gotcha. April, what about you?
I agree with Michelle. Like, episode 24 is just so this is something that I vaguely remember from like the original anime, and so like it was just like so stunningly done. Like the character design and everything, and like all of like I mean, we'll get into it more, but like this episode, it was just incredible, like to watch. And like, again, like there was like that huge, like emotional charge. Like it was very, very emotional. I may have teared up at moments just because like it was there. And then like episode 25 is like sort of is like the decline from that. So it's really interesting having them like back to back like that. And I mean, yes, they obviously go together, you know, for reasons, but like they're just not the same episodes. So it's really weird to like see them like side by side like that. So and I think the other thing it's not that I didn't like episode 25, but like there was a lot of focus on Yuki, and I understand it.
Yeah.
But like it seemed very like
it felt weird to me.
Yeah,
it felt really weird, and it felt very like out of place.
Yeah.
Given like the fact that episode 24 is like all about Kyo, and even like going like at the beginning of episode 25, like we're still like talking about Kyo, and then like it's like this weird shift, and I didn't like it. It made me really uncomfortable. So
yeah.
But I mean, they were both like really good episodes for sure. So
yeah, I agree with the uncomfortableness. I would go so far as to say that episode 5 isn't a good episode. I think episode 24 might be the best episode of the season. But, this is going up against Hanajima, so I mean, it's gotta be real good. But I do think episode 5 has like the beginning where it's about Kazuma, and it's kind of the conclusion of the previous episode, kind of in a way, or just like a kind of a side story adding to it, so it fits. And then it goes off into this like, we need to rush this to make the triangle work. So, and it's like, I would have preferred.
It's like, buddy, the triangle's over. I feel like, as someone who's like was so into Yuki and Toru, like even I'm saying it, like you just the triangles. There's no question at this point. We're gonna get into why that's so clear, but like, I don't know, man.
All right, well, okay, but I mean, I will say, I think they rushed it. I think also the animation quality dropped drastically for certain scenes that, like, usually, I mean, I don't know, we'll get into why possibly, but there was a very clear moment where episode 25 went from potentially still continuing the quality of episode 24 to just being like, no, we just got to wrap up very quickly.
Gotta wrap up a lot of things and then introduce new people for 5 seconds.
You know, we will get into those new people. But before that, I want to very briefly, April, last podcast, we asked the listeners to put their top 5, like, favorite, like, I guess favorite, most attractive characters.
Yeah.
We did our favorite boys. April,
your favorite top 3.
Yeah, your top 3, top 5, like, who are your top? It doesn't have to be boys. It could be any. It could be however top 5 your category. But we want to top 5.
Oh, okay. So,
we can leave it for the end if you want.
I was gonna say, can I just give you 5? Like, do I have to put them in order?
Because no, you don't have to put. You can give us.
You want to? Yeah.
Okay. Because Uo-chan for sure. Like, very, very attracted to her. Yeah. She's very, like, I love it. Like, I love her attitude. I would 100% date her in a heartbeat. I'd be like, come here, ma'am. Let's go.
Come here, ma'am. Like, playful, but still, like,
yeah. Thank you. I'm really bad. I haven't been dating in a while. Okay, so Uo-chan for sure. Kyo, definitely.
Would
Yuki's
you have said
too
Kyo before before 24 or after, or is 24 very much? Okay.
Yeah, before 24. I don't know what it is. It's that orange hair, and also I just like angry people apparently. So, which brings us to Akito. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, Michelle picked Akito.
I precious to be like, I know, like, this person's terrible, but just like purely visual, I can't deny that it's like the dark Yuki. So he's very
no, really, no. I would say, like, physically, like, aside from being sick, like, he's definitely got something going on. So we can add Akito to this list. And then Hattori for sure. I don't know what it is about doctors. No, he's got like that dark brooding look too. So obviously this is a theme for me. And Toru, absolutely.
Aww.
Yeah. Okay. So. Awesome. And also thank you to everyone who left comments. I really love seeing it. And like I saw so many Kyos there.
Yes, so many Kyos. I was like, dang, nobody likes Yuki. But like now I'm like starting to understand.
Yuki's pretty.
Yuki's pretty, and he's like not ready to commit or be open, and that's a big part of why it's like, yo, the ship's already over.
Gosh, I mean, okay, all right. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but okay. Well, I do want to apologize to Kyo. I do want to take this moment to apologize. You know, like, I am not someone who isn't incapable of admitting they're wrong, and I did not see the appeal of Kyo, and now I understand. I'm sorry, Kat. I'm sorry. So, let's get into episode 24. Let's start with the big one. Let's just first talk about Kazuma. Because also, I mean, his voice. Was I right about his voice, or was I not right about his voice? His voice is everything.
I'm kind of like more into the hair than the voice, but the voice is still good. I'm just like, that long hair. Yeah,
everything about him is great. But I find his character really interesting because I think he is not only is he really the first like father figure that we see on the show. But
positive one at least,
like at least positive.
On the show,
but I mean, because here's the thing, though, like of like the quote fathers we've seen, we haven't actually seen them be fathers. Does that make sense? Like we haven't really seen them parenting. Like even with the moms, whether they're good or bad, we've seen them trying to be a mom. Whereas with fathers, they've just been like very just like a faceless person Whereas with Kazuma, it's like, no, this is dad TM. Like, I was surprised he didn't drop some puns, because, like, he is such a dad.
Dad puns.
Maybe they're coming.
Oh, I hope so.
Season 2.
Season 2, dad puns.
Give him some dad jokes. Come on. But it's really interesting. We learned that his grandfather had the cat spirit. That's why he takes Kyo because we learn about Kyo's backstory finally. And he decides that, I guess he saw Kyo, like, with Toru, and he's just like, now is the time. Now is the time. He realizes Toru's, like, so important to Kyo, and even Shigure, like, comments on it. Like, Shigure is, like, super sketchy now. Like, okay, I've always been very nervous about Shigure, but, like, why does it even be like, even you choose to entrust everything to her? It's like, do you not entrust everything to her? That's like, she's basically a pawn in your entire plan, Shigure. Like, what are you planning? Like, I don't like you. And Kazuma is basically what we wanted Shigure to be, basically, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's weird. Seeing them together, it looks so similar, but I feel like Kazuma's gotta be, like, significantly older than Shigure, because he's already adult when Kyo was, like, little, but, like, he doesn't have any wrinkles or anything. He's just very well preserved.
Okay, well, I mean, that's very also, like, hashtag anime. Have you seen Akito, though? Like, how old is he?
But, okay, hang on. Okay. I think Akito is, like, Yuki and Kyo's age, because in the flashback, when Kyo transforms as, like, a little baby monster cat thing, you see little Akito, and he says, like, disgusting. And Shigure is, like, a teen behind him. So he is, like, actually pretty young. He's, like, a teenager or something.
Okay.
All right, well, that tells me that the hat theory that it's Akito continues to be possible.
Oh my god, no, it could be. He's the right age. I hate that, but maybe.
I mean, now it's possible. And see, the hat theory, it thickens. We will always be mentioning this hat theory. I mean, I will always be mentioning a cat theory as long as there's a podcast on Fruits Basket until we get answers. Like, that is a promise.
Episode 52.
But give me
episode 52.
But, like, give me your thoughts on Kazuma. Like, what do you think of him? What do you think of, like, his choices, like his decision to just, like, trust Toru immediately and go, like, nope, I gotta rip. I need to take that bracelet off you, bro. Like, it's time. Like, I think
it's very, like, brave and courageous, but I also feel like because he is, like, such a father figure to Kyo. I mean, I'm if I remember correctly, like, he says, like, something along the lines of, like, oh, he doesn't know, like, how this is going to turn out kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But, like, I feel like that if he wasn't more so on the side of, like, this is going to be like, there's going to be a positive ending to this, that he wouldn't have done it. Just because he does seem to, he does genuinely love, like, Kyo, and he even says, you know, like, if this doesn't work out, like, this is going to break him. And that's, like, a huge risk to take with, like, one of your own, you know, with your own child in this instance. And so I admire, like, his bravery, like, him, like, going out there and, like, trusting Toru for sure. And I think it's just great because he's like the ideal father, even though, like, maybe in the beginning his actions were, I guess this is kind of getting into, like, episode 25, but, like, like, him deciding to take Kyo in was a little bit, like, self-driven. Mm-hmm. But, like, in the end it kind of works out, and so I think that's great. And he even knows that, like, oh, well, I did it for selfish reasons, but, like, you know, but
it grew into genuine love.
Yeah, it grew into genuine love, and I think it takes a lot to admit that too. Like, I originally did this because I'm a terrible person, but look, it worked out. Like,
well, I mean, it's not that he was terrible. It wasn't that he was a terrible person.
Like, kid, he didn't really understand the grandpa thing. But, like, he feels terrible. Immense guilt from it, at least, that he feels he needs to reconcile somehow.
And I do think it's not just that moment when he was a kid. I think it was also, like, he was complicit in his family's mistreatment of his grandfather. So it's like, even though he was, like, a kid for most of it, like, you know, like, the one chance he had to right it, he didn't. But, like, you know, it's like, again, like, it's that guilt. It's like, it's a lot. There's a lot there to unpack. But I don't know. I just found it interesting because, like, trying to not think of episode 25 without the context of episode 25.
I was way madder at him.
Right.
Yeah,
because,
I was way madder.
Because it's in a way, it's like a violation of,
it is.
of Kyo, right?
Yeah.
He forces him to transform against his will in front of like the person he's the most scared to know about this secret, and doesn't give him the option to not do it, which is like, just like without knowing anything else about Kazuma, just feels really terrible. It feels like a line being crossed. It's not acceptable in the moment, at least.
Yeah. I mean, again, yes, like he's like, it's like tough love, right? Showing it like, oh, like I'm doing this for your sake. But you know, at that moment, I don't know if he I think April, you mentioned how he knew it was going to turn out well in the end. Like, it turned out, I don't think he did.
Okay, here's what so like when he was watching Kyo walk down the road in the rain, and he saw how affectionate and open he was with Toru, like, again, this is someone who's known Kyo most of his life. He gets how he is with people normally. This must have really surprised him. Kyo must have been like the most comfortable with someone who wasn't him that he's ever seen, and he knows like Kyo hasn't been living in this house with these people that long, like maybe a year. But that seems like a pretty big shift for Kyo in that amount of time. And I think that's literally what he based it off of. Just like that actual physically like seeing them together gave him the hope that like, all right, he seems to really like her. He trusts her a lot. Like if anyone's going to do it, I think it needs to be her, which like I personally feel like, you know, it's great that this keeps working out with Toru being able to handle all this, but I'm starting to feel really gross that everyone's expecting so much of her. And even when it does work out, I'm just kind of like, Toru's one person though. And I don't think it honestly felt kind of like they wanted her to fix how Kyo felt. And it's more complicated than that because like how he feels about Toru is so tied to him and his mom's whole situation. Which is very heartbreaking and triggering for him, even when Toru then tries to show him kindness, because that was like a total lie with his mom in a way. And like, that's super messy. But like, again, like I get Kazuma, like he's trying to be the best that he can. He's also like a flawed human being who might make some really risky choices, which even though they did pan out well, I still feel like this could have gone so wrong, and I don't know. I was very concerned. Yeah. So it's just complicated, but like I don't feel super great about just like the expectation that Toru's just gonna solve a problem yet again. Yeah. She could have gotten killed by Kyo, honestly.
We will talk about that. We will talk about that. So, all right, but I mean, okay, so he's like a martial artist. When you're in a fight, you just react. You're supposed to like. Right? So I can understand him being like, okay, I'm just going to trust my instincts. I'm going to go with this. But I would have liked like an episode of him just like getting to know Toru.
A little
bit. Just being like, okay, like, but are you what he thinks you are? Or maybe it's just because he trusts Kyo so much that he's just like, no.
I guess that's,
Yeah, so maybe that's it. But let's talk about that curse. Because it's genius.
My God.
Genius. Like, just from a writing perspective, you have to hug the ugliest thing. And even though it's, like, not that ugly, but I guess, like, I don't know, it's just, like, anime-fied, so it doesn't look that bad.
He looks like such an anime monster! I could not think that.
Like, he looks like a Digimon. Like, let's be
honest. Oh, my God.
He looks like a Digimon. Really? But the fact... but like the fact that you have to hug the ugliest thing, accept it, and for it to turn into a cute cat again. But also, the cat has to accept your love and embrace because it's a cat. So it always is the one that has the last word. So it's kind of just thematically genius. And like just fitting in with the whole, like, this I can understand being a curse. Like having the whole like, oh my God, my child has turned into a cute little bunny. Like to me, that's not like, that's, I understand, but also like, I don't understand. This though, I'm like, okay, all right, this I can see. Michelle, what tell me about this curse, this form, this thing. You had a lot of thoughts about it. I remember.
I have so many thoughts. Mostly, like, the first time I saw it, I was upset that I was so fixated on the pants still being there because it looks ridiculous. He looks like a werewolf man with those pants
he looks
on.
Like the Hulk.
And I get that, like, if he didn't have those pants, like, he'd technically be naked, because sometimes they cut to his internal monologue is, like, a human who's, like, the Kyo inside of the mask of the monster form, and they can't, like, have him, like, running naked as a human. Maybe that's why the pants are still there, but I was just kind of like, wow, like, those pants are very distracting. This makes us feel, like, a little more silly than probably supposed to. But the form's, like, interesting, and the fact that everyone keeps commenting on how it smells, like, rotten, I think that helps sell the scariness a lot more for me, frankly, because, like, visually, I wasn't quite sold, but, like, everyone's saying, like, how disgusting, and, like, just, like, the repulsion of the smell was a really good layer they added, because, like, Toru even, like, throws up.
Yeah.
It, which is so real and like legit, and I'm so glad they had that. It's like even Toru's like a human person who's just gonna respond to this naturally out of shock and a little bit of disgust too. So I liked it. I liked the form, but like those pants though, I'm never gonna forget the pants.
Yeah.
The pants.
April, what do you think about the pants?
I feel like.
Well, even though he changed his body and his shirt got ripped up, the pants survived perfectly.
I feel like I wasn't as distracted by the pants as Michelle.
I'd say probably.
No, like, I mean, I guess I don't know. They're pants. Like, let him wear pants if he wants to.
That's true.
Also, what kind of pants are those that can grow?
Oh, like cargo pants or something?
Yeah, like I'm more impressed with that now that I'm
they're
thinking
not
about it.
skinny jeans. I'll say that.
They're not skinny jeans, but like what material is that it can like stretch? Because someone needs
some cotton,
I guess.
Hybrid fiber. Yeah, I mean, it's like they were always baggy on him when he was normal size, so maybe now they're just like a little form fitting or something.
Like the beast isn't like fat, you know? It's not like he's a very, it's just the form is weird.
Yeah.
Like its feet are very big, but not the legs.
That adds to like I don't know, like it makes the character design like even more interesting is how like it looks very like almost sort of like decrepit and like it's thin, like it has very thin limbs, but then like the hands and like, you know, with the huge claws, and then like the feet are really, really large, and like it has a small head. Like it added to the horror of his true form. Sorry, Kyo, sweet angel, I'll hug you. It's fine.
Eyes were pretty intense.
Yeah. Yeah, the eyes were. I like what they did with the eyes too on like the character on the design was like that they like. They would like glow the more angry he was, kind of thing. Like I thought that was really like interesting and like just kind of like a really nice touch to it all as well. And what is it? They had like the steam coming off of him, so that was I guess that like adds to like the whole like, oh, he smells so horrible, like it smells like rotting flesh. So that's I think it was just super well done. So but I'm going to have to pay more attention to the pants.
No, please don't. I'm so sorry.
I'm just kidding.
It just felt weirdly anime. I'm like, oh, show. You can't escape yourself.
You can't escape yourself. You're trying so hard. You
can't not be anime.
I mean, I will say something that really something that's like just really stood out to me was that the fact that the moment before we see him like really go crazy transform is that I think Michelle, you mentioned it, he sees Akito like saying like disgusting, you're disgusting, like this hold Akito has on people. Like you'd think Kyo would, and also like remember that time when they had that stare down and then you see his eyes?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, like how linked is this curse to Akito and stuff? You know, how is Akito like the one person that will be able to like make him like switch into this form even with him wearing the rosary? Like
I wonder.
Oh.
That's gonna be interesting. That will be very curious. I'm just very excited for what's to come. But also something that really struck me was just, especially after the transformation, but right when Toru sees him and the reaction, just the use of like voiceover and like science. I mean, just this episode overall, the voice acting was so good. I didn't listen to the dub, so if anyone has listened to the dub, let me know how it went on how that went. But just with the Japanese voice actors, like it was so good. Like Kyo's voice actor brought it. The way that his range was insane.
Yeah.
The way he could go from very threatening and screaming and angry and violent to just being so vulnerable and distraught and destroyed. I was about to mesh those two words, and I was like, they're basically the same thing.
But then at the very end too, like you get this very warm softness that we've never had with him before, and that was the moment that I truly understood the ship. Because it's like, if Kyo can go there, like, that's very appealing. And that's the side of Kyo, like, I think we all want to see more of. Yeah. And it's the first time we're getting, like, any taste for that at all.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. We've seen snippets. We've seen expressions. We've seen the softness, but we haven't seen it.
Not full sentences.
Voice. Not voice. Like, it's like a split second, just, like, basically we've seen what Kazuma has seen, which is just his face.
Yeah.
Just reacting, just very physical, which again matches Kyo's persona of just being very, like, expressive, but maybe not vocally expressive.
Yeah.
But before we get into that wonderful, wonderful, like, sequence with him and Toru, let's briefly talk about his backstory and his mom.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so listen. I just have one. Okay, is it wrong for a mother to not want to be 100% real with a toddler? I understand. Like, I hear Kyo with like the whole like, look, I wanted her to be honest with me. Like, if she could have just seen me. Like, I even at that age, I could notice that she was scared of me and all this stuff. 100% with him on that. I'm just saying, and like also like, she's not there to be like. To like voice like her side of things or whatever. She literally like just like a lot of other mothers on the show just was super, super traumatized by this curse. So I understand all this. I'm just saying, if your child, like 3, 4, comes up to you and goes, do I scare you? You're not going to say like, yeah, bro, you're like horrifying. You know, I just don't see, like, I mean, honest, like, I think I can understand, like, I just understand the what's that word? The impulse of a parent being like, no, you're beautiful. Like, no, I'm not scared of you. Especially when you're that young. To want to hide you from like a reality even of it. Granted, I don't think it was right for her to just like literally lock him up, which is another similarity he has with Yuki somewhat, which is that they both have been isolated from the world, at least until Kazuma comes in and shows Kyo the world. But I will say, like, just a little thing I did think was for a parent to not want their child to be hurt from the truth. Like, I can understand that, at least when they're so young.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had not considered this, Beatriz, and now I'm like, oh boy. Because, like, it makes me think, like, what would Kyoko do if she was the mom of, like, she probably would have handled it totally differently. But, I mean, maybe it's not fair to fault Kyo's mom too much for just, like, reacting as much as a human can. And again, like, I find it so odd that, like, the fathers just, like, aren't really ever a part of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing during all, like, because she's with Kyo every day, checking his rosary to make sure that he hasn't transformed because she's that scared. She's keeping him isolated either for his own protection or because she's scared of letting him out and scared of him being a monster outside and hurting people maybe even. But I mean, and like the gossip of everyone in this town, I think in both episodes we just start with Kyo dealing with the animosity of these people who are adults and he is a child, and them just saying horrible things that he can hear all the time and making him just hate himself and hate them and hate the whole situation. And like that's
maybe,
not gonna, it's not gonna be easy for any parent.
Yeah, like maybe she noticed him. That's why she doesn't want him to leave. She's like, I have to protect you. I mean, granted, it's not okay, but I can understand the whole logic of like, all these people are talking bad about you. I see you react to this. I don't want anyone to hear from it, especially since we know that moms tend to be, like, when they see this curse and react to it, they tend to be extreme and are very either super mega protective or just completely reject. I think she went the super mega protective route with him. And she just heard all these people say these things, saw how that impacted him, and was just like, nope, I'm going to keep you all to myself, and I'm going to make sure whatever. And I completely agree, Michelle. It's like, why is it that all the blame of this is on the mom, and the dad's just like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. You're not even going to see my face.
Yeah. It's really weird because also Kazuma just kind of becomes his dad because his dad just, I don't understand if he left him for good or if he just wasn't being like a great dad to him after the mom died. But also it's like, so we can only speculate about what the mom was really thinking, like Beatriz said, which I think is like the most important thing. Like she's not here to tell us how she thinks about this. All we have is Kyo's remembrance of it and how it felt for him personally, which is like valid, but it is only one half of their relationship. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, I think no matter what, like, this woman, she sure, like, tried for a while, but she could not. I mean, it ended up, like, not being something she could take on by herself. Yeah. And that's really sad.
That's the key word, by herself. Where is the dad? Like, we see with Kazuma what a huge impact a positive father figure can have. It's like, but I feel like that's not, but the way the show is, like, I don't know, with the way the show is being, like, it's like, what's that word? It's portraying this. I don't think the show is saying, absentee fathers, man, they're a problem. That's not what the show is saying. Like, it's like, it could have done that. It could have portrayed it in a way where it's like, oh, like, if we had actually just, like, someone even mentioned Kyo's dad, maybe even given him a face. Because there's that one man we see in the flashbacks who doesn't have a face but said, like, oh, like, your mother loved you more than anyone else. And I was like, is that his dad? Like,
I think that is his dad in the suit. Maybe he had a suit on because it was a funeral or something. I don't know.
I mean, but
that was his dad.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's not 100% confirmed. We don't know 100% certain, oh yeah, that is his dad. And I think that's my problem. It's like, there is this like weird, like, the show just doesn't want to comment. Like, we see with, for instance, with Momiji, with his dad, being like, Momiji's like, oh, like, my dad promised me that, like, because I have to leave my mom alone, that he's gonna love me twice as much. It would have been nice to actually see that. Like, seeing someone, like, instead of just hearing it by doing hearsay. Same thing happens with Kyo's dad, where they're like, oh, it was too much for him. He just, like, he couldn't handle it, so Kazuma just took him.
Right, and it's like, so no one's, like, blaming the dad for that. Though, at the same time, they do really start to, like, talk smack about Kazuma in the beginning of episode 25. They're like, oh, yeah, he must be weird, too, to take on, like, a monster child. Which is like, oh my god, these people need to stop gossiping in the middle of the street. Like, this is not subtle. They're saying terrible things.
I wonder if there's so much focus on the mothers in this story, simply because it seems like we're going for like this very like overall like overarching theme is about like love and how there's like all these different like forms of love. And so because like, you know, mothers are more, I don't know, like they have more of that like lovable image, or like they're the ones to love you the most kind of thing. So I wonder if that's why like we get so much focus on them versus like the fathers. And I then like
oh, go for it. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say too, but then like that explains like because in regards to like Kyo's mom, like I have no doubt that she did love her child, but I think that it would have been better for her to have like a slightly more real conversation with her son. And like I totally understand like the parental need to like protect your child, and like, you know, obviously if you say things like, well, you are a monster, isn't necessarily going to play out well. But I also think that it's like she should have had that conversation, but there's a good way to have that conversation, you know?
I think Kyoko could have handled that somehow. She would have known what to say, but this mom didn't.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's not, I would never say that like it's their fault for this or it's their fault for that. But I'm curious too, like, did Kyo's mom ever like try to hug him whenever he was a monster or in his like, you know, his angry form, his cursed form or whatever?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And Kyo has a line where he says like, "Mom used love to avoid looking at me." So it's like she actively tried to deny the cursed part of him and therefore like wasn't really seeing the full him ever.
So in a way, like if she like would have, you know, handled that situation, because again, I'm not like trying to like put the blame on her, but like I can see like, you know, oh, like there's always like the consequences of others' actions. And so like this is just a consequence because, you know, whenever he was in his true form with her, she didn't give him the love that he needed. And so like that's how this sort of like spiraled like out of control almost, you know, like so it's really hard because like I don't blame her, but like at the same time, like this is a consequence of like the toxic love that she gave Kyo. So
totally, I don't think it's like fair to say like, oh, you are completely faultless for like the fallout of this type of love that you've enforced on him and the way you treated him. Obviously, it's gonna have its scars, and she's responsible for the scars. My issue is more just like, she's not the only parent, so it shouldn't just be her who's responsible for those scars.
Oh, no,
I think that's true, but it's also occurring to me that, I mean, I think in a lot of these cases, the mothers were also just the primary caregiver.
Yeah.
They spent the most time, the majority of their time with their children. So their children had a much like stronger, deeper developed relationship with the mother just because they saw them all the time. They're the ones that fed them and cleaned them and took care of them because like, I don't know, dads were working or something. So like from that angle, I can kind of like, the show's not over. I wouldn't be surprised if we got more info on Kyo's dad, but I think because his mom was so much more part of his life day to day, it makes a little more sense to me now that her not being able to like see him for what he is in a way that she can explain to a kid. He felt a distance. He felt that she wasn't being honest even as a kid. I feel like that's like the biggest takeaway because like she at that point, like this is pre, you know, Kazuma coming into the picture. Like she's the most important person in his life. She's probably the person he loves the most. So I can see how like him like feeling like, oh, like, am I responsible for her death? Right. Did she ever really love me for like my whole self? Like being a huge deal just because it's like, that was his like main person. And then she was just gone and it did a lot to him. And I think like, again, like there's something about how tied his thoughts to his mom keep intruding on Toru trying to reach out to him at the same time.
Yeah.
And I do see like the way the mom's like narrative kind of like starts and culminates in the flashbacks, I feel like was handled really, really well. Because you hear her say like, I love you. It's like, this is weird. Why do we keep hearing this? And then finally at the end, it's like, oh, she said that, but then also she kept checking his arm every day and wouldn't let him side and kept saying all these reasons for why that was. But then actually she killed herself. And that's terrible. Yeah. And you just get like, well, this is why he's afraid. Because like, if he loved his mom that much, and he might love Toru a lot, like, there's nothing more triggering for him than the idea of her getting that close. Because what if she lies too, right? Or what if she dies? I mean, I think that's why he's so tough on her, right? He's like, if she doesn't leave now, it'll only get worse for her, and it'll get like so bad that she'll wish she never met me or something. So like, you know, it is in his ways, he like thinks he's like trying to help her because he just like has such a low opinion of himself, and it's not a surprise why, just like based on everything that happened before. Yeah. And I will say, I mean, you're right, the way that they interweaved Toru's arc in this episode with his mom and the flashbacks, it's brilliant. And it's also interesting how it's like when Toru starts saying but she doesn't say I love you. So it's like
is it that he thinks she might say it? He's hoping she'll say it. It's like, because I don't know if Toru's like ready for that. But it's like, it's just like, I don't know. It's
the gesture, I think, just feels so similar.
So similar, exactly. So it's like,
so
it just, it made him do what he did. But let's talk about what he did. So let's just, first of all,
launched her into the air.
Okay, let's just, first, there's a lot to get into with that action in particular. But before that, just in general, walk me through what you were feeling throughout this entire section of the episode. Because it's a lot. It's so much. Like, from you know, from, again, the voice acting to like the hug to like, you know, the kiss fake out that happened, because I saw it and it's like, how dare you?
What a fake out. I ended up thinking it was really funny, but I was just kind of like, you did a thing. It turned into a hug. Oh, show.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, it would make sense like that.
It makes sense.
It wasn't the time for a kiss.
Yeah.
But also, like, that just reminded me of, what was it? The girl who leaped through time, that movie. And
they do it there, and they do it in Ordon.
Yeah, they do it a lot.
Ordon, they did a hug fake out, so it's just like, there it is again.
There it is. It's
Found it.
You know what? It's a great trope, though. I love it. If you can do it, like, I don't even call it a cliche. I'm just like, this is great. But yeah, so just walk me through, like, just this sequence in particular. Like, go as deep as you want. Like, we'll let the conversation go from there. But, like, April, like, tell me, like, give me the play-by-play.
The play-by-play.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that specific, but just...
I'm like, let me pull up the episode. So, my biggest, like, it's interesting because my biggest emotions during this was, like, a lot of, like, empathy and sympathy for Kyo, mostly. And then just a lot of, like, sadness, and, like, I was really anxious the entire time. So I was, like, knitting furiously because I was so anxious. But like, just a lot of, like, empathy and sympathy, just because to have such, like, crazy thoughts, like, I'll hurt her so bad she'll never forgive me. Like, that is, like, oh, that's such a scary thought. Yeah. And, like, at the same time, like, who hurt you? Well, we know who hurt him so bad for you to think that. But, like, I felt it so much. Like, I felt all of his anger and frustration and his sadness and his upset. And, like, the fear of rejection is just so, like, it gives you crazy thoughts. Like, and so does loneliness, which is, like, something that I'm, like, deeply, like, interested in lately, is, like, the idea of, like just rejection and loneliness, and how, like, they're so interconnected, but then, like, if you let it, like, spiral out of control, like, that turns into, like, the depression, and then you get, like, all of those exact crazy thoughts, because I feel like at some point in my life I've had thoughts that were kind of crazy like that in regards to, like, people who love and care about me. So I was in the moment, like, I'm like, come here, Kyo, like, we can be friends, I'll love you, like, but it's very real. Like, it's an amazing portrayal of, like, someone who's dealing with something and coming out of, like, that sort of, like, emotionally abusive, like, like, upbringing, and then, like, having it, like, transpire or, like, come up in, like, their real life, I guess, like, in their present time. I know, like, we had, like, the what is it, like, I know he hit Toru and was, you know, like, had intentions of being he was physically violent with her, and I mean, like, while it's never okay to hit people that you love, it really added, like, it's gonna
stakes.
Yeah, it really, like, it added, like, all of those real stakes, like, and it's, like, details like that, like, of course, like, I'm not okay with it, but, like, it's, like, the addition of, like, things like that make such dramatic and, like, thematic scenes, that much more real, like, how they had, like, that moment where they showed Toru, like, vomiting after smelling him, like, it's things like that, like, because it's one thing to sit there and be like, ooh, I'm gonna hurt her so bad, like, she'll never forgive me, but to actually, like, see him physically hurt her, and then to have, like, those types of thoughts is, like, it makes it that much different, like, it puts it onto a different level. So I think that it's very, while, again, I am not okay with it, I think it was, like, a really great addition that they added to it, and it just put this, like, whole episode over the top. It helped it. So, and then again, like, that with all of, like, the, you know, the really crazy, you know, thoughts and feelings that Kyo's having, I like, this is probably, like, one of the best scenes that I've seen in a while out of animation. Just again, because, like, the feeling is so real, at least for me. So
yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went off there.
No, that was great. Michelle, do you have any responses? Do you have your own thoughts about this whole thing?
I mean, I agree with everything April said. And I think it is so true that I think the reason this felt like such a good execution is because they both react in very believable ways.
Yeah.
Like when you first see Toru's face after Kyo runs away, she just has these huge kind of dead eyes and this expression you can't really read, but it looks like fear. Yeah. And when she runs off, it's so quiet and serious that you can't tell if she's trying to help him or she's running away because she's horrified. And she immediately goes and throws up, which again is like a very real reaction you'd have to something so horrifying, like with no warning. And then she like has this like talk with herself and she's like, what do? I don't know what to do. This is scary, which again, it's like we've seen Toru so cool-headed when she's talking to people and giving them advice but like this is something she's super unprepared for. She does not have a plan when she's going to see him, but she goes to see him because she cares about him. And that's like as much of a plan as she's formulated, which again feels very real, that she wouldn't know what to do in this situation, but she cares about him. And so she's going to like try something. And then, I mean, the moment I love the most was when, like, so, like, she's like, oh, let me help you. And, like, the thing she's saying is, like, basically triggering Kyo to think about his mom, which is, like, not good. And he hits her as a defensive maneuver because we know Kyo, like, we've seen him countless times, like, get kind of angry and shout at Toru and then immediately backtrack and feel terrible. That, knowing all that, this plays really well because we know that he's not doing this to be cruel. He's doing this out of fear, essentially.
Right.
This is a defensive maneuver. And the fact that like, Toru gets up, it's still, like, deadly quiet. No soundtrack at all. She stands there contemplating, and then she turns away and starts leaving. To me, like, that was, like, such a good moment. Because, again, it's like, like, what would you expect a person to do? You throw them in a river and mess up their arm? Like, they're not going to immediately go back to you. And I think it took her hearing Kyo say, like, I don't need, like, this kind of love. I don't need anything to realize that, like, because that's when it clicks for her. And she's like, oh, this is a breaking point for Kyo. And if he's saying that, like, he might turn away from all of us forever. And if he doesn't come back now, he might never come back at all. And that gets her to change her mind. She's prepared to leave. And it isn't until that moment that she's like, all right, I mean, I'm going to go for it then. Because now she has a clear reason to. And then it works out and it's great. But like everything's just handled so believably. And like the way they play off each other is something that makes sense based on like all their interactions. Like one of the parts I cried a couple times, but one of them is when she's holding on to me, he's still trying to shake her off because he doesn't want to believe that she's really going to be there for him. Cause like no one really has except for his like dad. Yeah. She says like, I want to be there for you and listen to you the way you listen to me when I'm discouraged, which again, like we've seen that multiple episodes. So this builds really as a culmination for us, because it's like, yeah, he's the one, not Yuki, to always let her vent, to tell her it's okay to be selfish, to always like be a supportive shoulder for her emotional support. And this is finally her chance to be like, look, I can do that for you now too. Like, I've seen the worst side of you literally now. We can talk about this and work through this. And that, again, like ends up playing so nicely with the mom stuff, because like, that's the one thing he wanted. What he wanted her to say was not like, oh, you're my child. Of course I love you. You're not a monster. It's like, yeah, you got this curse, man. That's real. I will like worry through this with you. We will figure this out as a process, and I will support you through all of your stuff, including this. And that's exactly what Toru's saying to him in that moment, and that's why he's able to be like fully open with her, which is like so good. But yeah, I just feel like this is built so well on all the seeds that have been there the whole time. So like we believe it, and it's exciting, and it's a relief, because I mean, this could have gone terribly, and it didn't, but the stakes were real. And it's just, it's just really good. I cried a lot.
Yeah. I think the moment where I cried was when it's like that moment where you go like, okay, this is how she differs from his mom, which is when she says, I am scared. I am scared. I am scared. I don't know what this form is. Like, I don't know what to do. And you're talking weird, and you smell funny.
Smell terrible, Hugh.
Yeah, so like for me, like that was a moment where I was like, oh, the feels, oh, the emotion.
She's not sugarcoating it. She's being completely honest about how terrified she is.
Yeah, and then when he just like when he says Toru, I think that the first time he actually calls her Toru, like when he hugs her.
It might be like just the way he says it though is so like kind of shaky and desperate but relieved at the same time.
And the embrace is so intimate.
It's like so well animated.
It is. It's so like oh goodness. So like yeah. So I agree with a lot of what you all said. It was a roller coaster. And I think for me, it like my big thing with like, because everything up to this point, and Michelle, you said it, this has been a point that's been building for so long. We have been waiting for this moment. Like all the seeds have been planted and are flourishing. We are seeing the results of all this hard work the show has done with these two, and it works, and I understand why Kyo reacts the way he does. I understand why Toru like starts to leave and then comes back, and then and all this, like it all makes. I understand every action these two make and why they make them. I can't turn off my brain though, and I wish I could, because this very much falls into that kind of. I mean, look, if domestic violence weren't a problem with the world, then I wouldn't have a problem with this. And it's not that I have a problem with it. Problem is a strong word. It's more just like I can't help but feel slightly uncomfortable, because so many stories are about, oh, here is like this damaged man who hurts people and all this stuff, and here I this woman, I am the exception. I am what's gonna fix him. And Michelle, you mentioned earlier where you're like, it's not fair that we keep asking.
I'm not a fan on, because like these are adult men placing this on a girl who doesn't know anything about this plan, doesn't know what the curse is, and is just like essentially being a pawn by both of them. Yeah, and like it works out, but it's like, this is to explicitly expect this of Toru, I feel like is like a little too much, honestly.
Right. And I think it's just, and it's, they don't even, you can argue that Kazuma gives her a choice, right? He's like, are you gonna go after him? Are you not? Like, are you gonna accept him? But it's like, you're forcing her to make this choice instead of letting her just,
she cares about him.
Yeah, I mean, you're forcing
what you're really doing is like, you're making a person who is not fully great at controlling their emotions become a literal monster that she will encounter and may be killed by. I mean, those are the real stakes here.
Yeah.
I don't think the stakes are just like Kyo could run away and never be friends with anyone again. It's like she could be killed.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what he's gonna do. He's incredibly unstable right now for like reasons we understand, but like the fact of the matter is like it's also true that he's a danger to everyone, including her. And I mean, and they probably didn't think a lot about that, but it's still true that that's something to be like, because they're so like, they're thinking about this just in terms of what it can do for Kyo, but what it could do for Toru is put her in significant danger. Right. And that's the part that makes me not happy.
Yeah. Like if like this moment, this whole sequence was all about development for Kyo. Like, yes you can make the argument like, oh, like how has Toru beside her closer relationship with Kyo, like how has this impacted her growth as like a character herself? Like she's still the same person. Like
she's like happy when people are happy because like she wants people to be better versions of themselves, and that's all like great. But I mean,
like you can make the argument that like this is like, okay, well he, again, you mentioned how he's the one person who's like constantly told her that she can rely on him and everything.
That's great, but I mean the stakes are like very different because it's like you can bet to me I could kill you.
Right. It's like I mean again, Hanajima and Oro-chan would love Kyo to vent to them. They're asking for it, so it's not like she doesn't have options for people.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Just,
she does.
Again, she just doesn't. You know, he's the one who's kind of been. He's the one. He's
been there. He's been
there, and no, and he's gotten her to vent to him, which is important.
That is,
but
important.
It's just like also like she's basically being forced into a situation where she has to get hurt in order to get through to someone, and it like physically hurt to get through to someone, and it's like it just plays into this idea where it's like I just don't want like someone could see this and go, okay, if someone hurts me and physically hits me, and I shouldn't turn away. I should stick by them because if I don't, then they're going to shut themselves down completely. That is my worry. Because it's like,
I think abusive.
Fair. Like, and it's not that I'm saying that Kyo isn't like suffering, and it's not like I'm like.
It isn't isolated. Like, as far as we know, like, he may never do anything again. And this was just like the culmination of a very certain situation. But that's a slippery slope when you try to use it for like real life things.
Exactly.
Because like normally, if somebody hurts you once, they are more likely, not less likely to do it again. So, like, I totally get what you're saying. Like, in the context of the show, I'm not worried, but in the context of just, like, media and how people interpret that into their real lives, it doesn't look great. The Toru, like, being the one to just, like, because she loves him, she'll stick through it and help him change is just, like, really doesn't play well in real life. But for the show, like, you can believe it because we know them well enough to anticipate them doing good things.
Right.
But,
and I mean, and like, again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't like feel for Kyo. I'm not saying that Kyo is like a horrible monster person, whatever. I'm just saying that
the subtext is there, and it's
the
not.
subtext is there, and the only way the show could have countered it. That's why episode 25 was so crucial. And why I'm very disappointed with episode 25 is that the only way that you could counter that is by there being a fallout to the action. By holding Kyo accountable for the damage he did. That is the only way you can do that. And that can't happen in this episode because this episode can't last forever. It has to end. It has a limited time frame. And that sequence, like, there's no way you can change that sequence in order to answer this question. Like, that's kind of how it has to be. That's why episode 25 was so important. And that's how we'll talk about it. But this is how we're going to transition into episode 25 because I don't think this was like, it dealt with Kyo's actions sufficiently. I don't think Kyo feels bad, and you see he looks at her
bandages,
like, exactly.
Man. But he doesn't say anything.
But how different is that from him being like when he yells at her and then feels bad about it? It's not different, and that's what I hate. It's like it is different though.
Yeah,
there's a difference between calling someone
line.
like in a fit of rage, just going like, "Oh, you're so stupid." No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. To like being like, "Oh, I'm gonna almost break your arm." Like, there's a difference there. And I feel like the show, like, I was expecting, especially how, like, Yuki was being, like, built up throughout episode 24, and how in the beginning of episode 25, we just don't see his face. I was like, he's gonna be so mad. He's gonna not want her near him. He's gonna, like, be like, how dare you hurt her? And, like, you know, you stupid cat, blah, 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 because that's what he says. And he just, nothing. We get nothing.
Yeah, Yuki's just thinking about his own stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like, does no one know that? Like, who helped, like, heal her? Did Hatsune just, like, come by and go, like, I got
Here's
you?
some bandages,
no!
you know?
Like, that's just, you know, like, I'm just like, there needed to be more of a fallout. And I think that's my problem. Like, that's how this could have been, like, fixed. Like, if there was a problem to fix, like, if you wanted to make sure that people don't take that action the wrong way, because I'm not saying, we should never have hit her.
You treat it seriously as like a not good thing, and you apologize and you make clear, like, this happened and I can never take that away, but I will prove to you that, like, it has consequences, and I will, I mean, there's a lot he could have said. Yeah, I'm a little sad that didn't happen too now. Yeah. It honestly hadn't occurred to me. I was so wrapped up in, like, that was Kyo stuff, and this is Yuki stuff, and okay, but, like, Toru really should have been given a little more attention, considering, like, what literally happened to her on this side of it. Like, she has a side to this, and she's not just, like, a plot convenience to help everyone else. Yeah. She needed help in this moment. She didn't really get it in a substantial way. Yeah. So it's good. You're pointing that out, Beatriz.
I don't know, and I feel like maybe if we start seeing her maybe sometimes be scared of Kyo, like, and it's like, well, I told you I was scared of you, so now I can just be open about, hey, are you gonna hit me again? Because it's like, I mean, come on, Kyo, like, you gotta voice it. And when you say, like, oh, I wish that I want to prove to you that I won't do that again. That could have tied so easily with him wanting to prove to Kazuma that he was going to be a worthy son for him. Like, that could have been such an easy kind of tie-in where it's like, okay, you deal with this and you deal with this. Like, I'm not saying we need to change that sequence from episode 24. I'm not saying that him hitting her was out of character or that it was unexpected. What I'm saying is the fallout of this, like, this action, you can't just, like, have a throwaway. It's the same thing with, like, oh, like, we're gonna focus all this on the moms and we're not really gonna focus on that. It's like, no, these things matter. You need to talk about them, and you need to talk about actions and the impact they have on people. And, like, why is this absent and why aren't we focusing on this? But you decide that you want to spend the second half of this episode that's concluding the season instead of focusing on something that you need to focus on, or else it's going to be a problem. No, you decide that you're gonna give me very poor animation and have Yuki just, like, act all like, oh, I need to fight and whatever. I need to make this about myself. When it's like, did no one notice the arm?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Like, I do think it's interesting that, like, Kagura, Shigure, and Yuki are all looking out the window. Yeah. When Kyoji, like, everyone knows this is gonna happen except for Toru, and it's very tense, and it continues to be tense for the first half of episode 25, I'd say. And I feel like we're still trying to figure out what this curse means and how it affects the rest of the family and the rest of the Zodiac members, and why, like, say, Yuki reacts so strongly to Kyo reacts so strongly to Yuki. Like, I can kind of understand, like, if nobody said anything about Toru's bandages, it could be that, like, we don't talk about the curse. Like, that's off limits conversation. Like, they all acknowledge and know, but they feel like it's not their place to say. But again, like, that's not the case for Kyo. Like, he's the one person that really should talk about it. And again, like, like, I'm not concerned that Toru's gonna be, like, afraid of Kyo. I think, like, there's this understanding that it was an isolated thing, but again, it would have done so much for Kyo to have just been like, hey, those bandages, I see them, I'm sorry about that, I'm never gonna let that happen again, or just like, I feel remorse for this thing happening to you because of me, and I regret it. Like, that would have been enough, I think. Because, like, I feel like the show's just, they're trying to have his whole, like, look at her communicate that. But again, like, that might play fine in a show, but in real life, you need to have an actual conversation and be on the same page with the person who got the fallout of your action for that to like feel real and earned. And a look doesn't convey that in real life. So I feel like that's kind of why I get where you're coming from, Beatrice. And like, I can think of people being like, oh, it's fine. He feels bad. But it's like, yeah, but like in real life, you definitely need to talk to the person.
Yeah.
Because like we as viewers can see him feeling bad, but Tori might not have caught that look. She might not know. Yeah. Like she'll know in her heart probably if he feels kind of bad, but like it does a lot of respect to tell someone you're sorry. You know, that's never a bad call. So
yeah. But yeah. April, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, you guys have pretty much taken everything that I could have and wanted to say, so I appreciate that.
All right. Question: is the love triangle over? Do you think?
I mean, not completely. It's gonna continue because obviously we have to have drama, and it'll make it that much more interesting. But unfortunately, it's going to drive Yuki and Kyo further apart.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, yeah, like, which is sad, but hopefully at the end of it, they can just come to a place of understanding and be happy no matter what the outcome is. So.
Okay. Michelle, you were very certain that this love triangle was over.
I think April's having me rethink my words. So the love triangle's not over, but like the outcome has been made explicitly clear at this point. So it's like not a surprise anymore, I would say. Like the triangle itself will continue, but like we seem to know the end game pretty well. And I feel like episode 25 really cemented that, just because like even when Yuki has like his flirty moment on the stairs, he does that thing that he always does where he pulls back right when it's getting really serious and says, just kidding. And at this point, I'm kind of like, Yuki, if you're not ready to be serious about this, like Kyo kind of is in his own way being serious and open about himself. And so like, buddy, if you can't do this, like it's not gonna work out. Yeah. So it's too bad. But like at this point, I'm just like, Yuki, maybe you're just not ready, and that's fine. You'll find someone else. There's someone more ready who's already like kind of progressing a lot more emotionally with this person you care about, and like that's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is exactly why that moment with him and Toru felt so phony, is because he says it's phony, and not only that, but like especially coming right off this really intense and honest and vulnerable and emotionally charged moment with her and Kyo, it's like, I don't know, at least from an audience perspective, I don't know if we can go back to the whole like
the subtle stuff.
Wink, wink, so stuff like I don't think we can go back to that. Granted, I mean, what if like second season opens up with this huge like revelation, and then suddenly like Yuki's like open and like admits to like whatever separation, you know? Like I'm just saying, what if like Yuki like finally is like, how dare you hurt her, and blah, and then she's just like, oh my god, Yuki. Like I'm just saying, it could still work. It could still happen.
Yeah. Maybe. And maybe they're going to talk about, like, her bandages. I mean, I do think there's a reason that we see them multiple times. Yeah. We see them when she's walking in the
focus
hallway.
On them.
Yeah, like, maybe it's coming, and maybe Yuki's going to, like, call out Kyo. I could honestly totally see that happening, actually. So, like, maybe it's, like, better than we think it is right now. I want to believe that's true.
So do I. But with Yuki, we do learn, we do get some more insight into Yuki. I mean, I feel like it's more just verification of things we already know about Yuki. It did feel like we were just treading old ground, where it's just, Yuki's just like, you know, he admits to himself, I do struggle with my emotions and like revealing them to people, and I always keep them all bottled up, and I'm aware of it. I just don't want them to take control of me, which is interesting. It's like, okay, well, he's finally putting it into words that he's scared of unleashing his emotions. It's like, is he going to become a monster like Kyo? Like, what's going on, Yuki? Tell me.
Emotional monster instead of a physical monster.
Yeah.
I think that's
like
it.
The true darkness.
I like
Which kind of makes sense, because, like, yeah, Yuki's always been very reserved and isn't very real with people. And it makes sense that that's because to accept all of emotions, he has a tendency to let that boil over into like a giant cesspool of just sadness and despair that is so overwhelming that he can't feel he can handle that. And so he just pushes everything down and locks it up. It's like an all or nothing situation. Either I can deal with none of it and be kind of aloof and never connect with a lot of people, or I let it all spill out and I'm potentially miserable based on whatever happened with Akito. So like I buy it, but I will say the fact that he's like he's like recounting the steps he's taken this season to start to open up anyway and to be honest about his feelings, and he's making like a clear promise to Toru that he wants to do that more and he wants to get to a place where he can tell her everything, and it sounds like there's still like a lot going on that's linked to Yuki and Kyo at the same time. That's like his side, and it's very dark and it's not good. But because like again, like Yuki isn't as far along as Kyo, but then also like Kyo did kind of have his hand forced to get to where he is with Toru at this point. Like he didn't want that for himself. He was kind of pushed into it. And Yuki's like taking a little more time to get there with Toru in his own way. But again, it's like, Yuki, you're not there yet. And if it's a choice, I don't think you're going to win. But we'll see. I mean, maybe it'll get a lot better for him next season. But I mean, right now, I do feel a lot more high on Kyo. So it's hard to even think of that.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Well, I will say kind of to point in Kyo's favor is Kyo doesn't have anyone that he's able to like open up to. I mean, yeah, you have Kazuma who's able to notice and call him out on things, but like Hatsuharu's the one who's like, Yuki, what's up? Like, why are you like that? Calls him out and stuff. Like he notices something's wrong with Yuki, and he's aware that Toru notices too. But he's the one who's like, hey, you don't want to make Toru worry, and then Yuki's like, yeah, also you shouldn't worry either. So it's like Yuki's got like more like I feel like with Kyo like I feel like with Kyo like he needs Toru, even though like Kagura's available, even though like Kazuma's available. It's like the only one he's able to open up to and have these discussions with, and the only one he's able to offer that to is Toru. Whereas with Yuki, it's like you got Hatsuharu right there.
Yeah, like Kisa, sort of.
Yeah, I
mean, Yuki has a much larger like support group than Kyo does,
which is interesting because Kyo's so much more sociable on the outside.
But at the same time, like you have to remember too that like Kyo's been very like isolated for almost all of his life. So, but
Yuki has too.
Yuki has in a way, but he's been more like socialized than than Kyo, and so that like it, and also like Yuki has Akito's favor, so there's
status.
Yeah, so he has status, so it would make sense that like, oh, like let me help you, Yuki, like that there are more people, I guess, like running to his aid, just because of that also like status within the family. And so like I think the other big thing to take away too is that like there's a big part of whenever like you want help or something like that, like you have to like you can't just like give it away. Like you can't just ask for it. Like it takes a lot for people to reach out to other people. And so like being like if you're going to be vulnerable with someone, like you choose who you're going to be vulnerable with. Not like you can't just like go up to someone and be like, hey, you're going to tell me everything that's going on with you, and you're going to tell me right now. Like it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So it's a big deal for him for Kyo at least to have to entrust Toru with like his vulnerability.
Yeah, totally. Well, the episode kind of the end of the season really is really interesting because we have this family dinner where everyone just kind of shows up.
Yep.
Comes together. Shigura is the one who tells them like, oh, we're gonna have dinner. I'm inviting everybody over.
And then I leave. I just won't even.
Then he's gone.
Bye.
He has gone with. This is totally some ploy of his to make this is my theory. He wants Akito to think that he's the only one who will ever be there for him.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I could totally see that. He's playing some weird games with like everyone, but especially with Akito. I feel like he wants to crush his spirit. Mm-hmm. I don't know why yet, but it's so weird and interesting, and I'm a little scared.
Honestly, like I think he's the scariest one of them all. Even more scary than Akito, because I think so.
Because like we kind of understand how Akito thinks, at least. Like we don't really know what Shigure wants in the end. We know he wants something. We have no clue what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird that Akito is like Akito in a way is very honest. In a way,
he's
like
very upfront about his hostility and
exactly.
stuff. Shigure, like it's all hidden. Yeah, like, he presents this totally, well, not totally fake facade, but like medium fake facade.
Yeah,
and like that's way scarier because then it's like he's a wild card.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that was really interesting. We also get some new characters. New character alert. We get Rin, who is, I'm assuming, another member of the Zodiacs. I'm assuming. Two left. Kazuma isn't one, so I mean, I'm assuming she is. I'm so excited. I'm like, who are you? Tell me everything.
What's your story? What's your traumatic past?
Like me while like twirling my hair on my finger, just being like, tell me everything. Again, obviously, I'm gonna latch on to her. But really interesting stuff with her. Any theories on who she could possibly be? Like, I don't remember her. Like, I didn't remember anything of like this episode.
The first anime did not get this far.
No,
yeah,
it didn't.
So, like, I'm excited. She seems very also interesting. I think I don't know if she's in a hospital or if she's in a psych ward. Like, I'm like, what? Like, where? Like, what is going on with her? I'm curious.
I'm scared.
I'm scared, but also like excited.
I'm excited because I think she's a loose cannon, which might mean she could be a loose cannon for like Toru's side.
Right.
I think she might want to break the curse. She's definitely planning something about the curse, and I feel like it has to be stopping it because the curse is already a thing. So you can't make it like an extra thing. You have to like stop it to be doing something opposite right now. And like that's cool. It seems like whatever she's very determined and she's very angry. And that's kind of cool. I'm curious, but I'm also a little scary too. I don't know. I hope you're gonna help.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, I think it's just very refreshing that there's someone who's like, no, I have to break the curse.
Yeah.
Like, Akito is like,
foot on the ground.
Like, Akito's like, oh, the curse can't be broken. She's like, I have to break it. So I'm like, yeah, give me someone who's like very like active and taking action and initiative. Like, yeah, I'm excited.
Toru's taking the slow and steady way that she doesn't even know she's doing, but this person like is like, oh no, like I'm actively doing this and I know what's going on.
No, yeah. And she like I love the hammer approach. I'm like, just break everything down.
Do it.
It's gonna be great. We also meet a boy and a girl at school. We don't see their faces.
Oh yeah.
They know about Yuki, which is interesting.
But they said, well, they were just saying that he's prettier than.
But the woman starts to say something like, but he's, and then she pauses, which makes me think she might know about the Somas, which is interesting because I don't know if she's a clan member.
She could be a Soma,
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But they have well, I guess like it is a thing because like the Somas having. The Zodiac Somas having like specific hair, I guess, is inherently tied to their curses because
like we see it with the grandfather with
the red hair too, right? So it's just like if you're possessed, your hair changes color and it becomes very obvious to people who know that you're that Zodiac, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just need if you'll allow me.
Yes.
Just like a moment of selfishness. Now, I need your help, y'all. I need you to like if you just reel me back if I go like too long, I just need a moment just to mention this because this girl, I don't know who she is. I don't remember.
Which girl are we talking about? The one.
The girl, like the boy and the girl at school.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know who she is. I don't know. This has nothing to do with. This isn't in a way. This is very off topic, but. I was like minding my business. I was thinking about Toru and Kyo, and like I was like, Yuki, like why are you suddenly like animated so bad? Like blah blah blah, like budget cuts, man. I'm thinking all these things, And then she speaks.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
She sounds like Wave Girl, kind of, right?
I don't know. But so if anyone's been like on Discord for the past like month or so, you'll have known that I fell in love this past month. I fell in love hard.
You did?
I fell in love with this woman from this video game named Edelgard. She is everything to me.
Okay.
You don't understand. It's been so long since I've fallen in love with a fictional character. It's been a long time.
Okay.
Very long time. So I'm playing this game. It's called Fire Emblem. So, like the recent one, 3 Houses. It's so good. And I love this girl. I love her. And I'm just like, oh, this is the best. I'm watching the show. And she speaks, and I'm like, no.
Oh, it's
it
her
couldn't
voice?
possibly be. It couldn't. I know that voice, though. So I look it up, and it's her voice.
Oh, Beatriz.
Oh,
Is she going to crack your top 3 already? Just based
No.
on voice?
I mean, possibly. I mean, look at Kazuma. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like...
That's true.
I mean, honestly, the fact, like, these worlds, I love her colliding. I mean, I know she's not going to play the same character, because it's not Edelgard, but also, like, it's her voice! Ah! I just love it so much.
Fact. Mm-hmm.
I just needed that fact to be out in the world. I wanted to let everybody know. I mean, congrats to the voice actress. She's succeeding in her career. Great. I am so happy I get to, like, hear her in this. I mean,
yeah.
I haven't even checked if any other characters from that game are on this show. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't care, because it's only her voice I care about. And I'm just very glad it's here. But that's honestly, this is gonna sound real bad, but that was my biggest takeaway of like that episode. Because like, that episode was just like so like, really? You didn't do this? You didn't do that? Well, at least you gave me Edelgard's voice. Okay, fine. I have been satiated. Because, oh my goodness. Anyway, do you have any closing thoughts on this these 2 episodes, this season? Like, we've covered it. We covered all of it. What are your closing thoughts until next year when we get the second season? If it's next year.
No, it's next year. They confirmed
2020,
it.
at the very end.
Yeah.
They said 2020.
Okay. It's at the end of the video, and then on both Twitter, on like the official Fruits Baskets Twitter, and then on whatchamacallit's Twitter, they confirmed it as well. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. I was like,
right.
Wait, I remember this. I saw it in multiple places, and I was excited.
Cool. All right, we are definitely getting it next year.
Yeah, well,
Any closing thoughts?
This season was really good. Like, I obviously, like, I went into it with a lot of like preconceived notions from like the original anime, but like now I'm like, I need to go watch the original anime again just to have like that comparison in my mind. But like, I really enjoyed this, and this was like very strong, like especially, you know, episode 24 was just incredible. And like, I'm excited to see where the story continues. So like, where do we go from here? Like, what is happening? Tell me everything. I need to know. So, but I'm excited. But episode 24 definitely was like one of the best episodes of the season for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, Michelle, what about you? Any closing thoughts?
So just on the last episode, I'll just say 2 things that stuck out to me. I'll say, like, I was a little turned off by Haru beginning of the season. I feel like he's mellowed out and been a much more consistently just like good, genuine, caring person, and that's done a lot for me because he's very attractive, and it's a relief that I can like him with a good conscience. I appreciate that Yuki like notices that he's been very like attentive to like him and Kisa, and when Haru's telling him like, oh, you know, Toru's worried about you, like you don't want to worry her, right? And he's like, oh yeah, like I'm worried about her, but like I'm worried about you too, Haru, because like you're always busy worrying about other people. And I just like, I like that kind of checking in and acknowledging somebody else is doing like all this work, like emotional labor for you and other people. And just like, I was like, Yuki, that's good. Like you're not like oblivious to the fact that Haru like cares about you and wants you to feel good. I also kind of like the fact that everyone came to the house at the end, because it felt like a really good Toru moment in just like, this is such a clear visual example of the fruits of her labor for the whole season.
Yeah.
Like everyone's happy, they're talking to each other, their bonds are becoming stronger, they're essentially like becoming a family unit, and they were much more separated at the beginning. And that is pretty much all thanks to her efforts, initially at least. And I was just like, yes, Toru, you be happy. This is because of you, girl. You made this happen. And I thought that was really nice. The season as a whole, I do think is really good. We've had a lot of conversations about things we weren't crazy about, but I think like at its heart, it is still like a very genuine show with a lot of characters I absolutely love and want to see progress more. And I think it's been really fun to watch. Like I've always looked forward to episodes. Like it's been 25 weeks, you guys. This is a long time.
Yeah.
But like it's been a fun ride, and I'm really glad there's more. Because, like, this is, like, such a fun thing to do on a Friday, honestly. It's just, like, sit down and watch it and see, like, what's the drama, who's having issues, who's doing better. It's really good. And, like, the funny stuff's really funny. The serious stuff is super serious. And I feel like that's not a balance every show pulls off super well. But in this show, it really does manage to do both extremes. And I think that's pretty remarkable. So, yeah, I would recommend this show to people. I think it makes you feel all kinds of things, and mostly happy things. So, like, who wouldn't want that in their life?
Exactly.
100%. Agree. Well, I'm really excited for next season. I can't wait to see what emotional turmoil I'm going to feel during it. I think we'll see Kazuma again. I'll see Edelgard again. And yeah, I thank you both so much for joining me on this journey with Fruits Basket. It's like, it's a lot of talking. Again, 25 weeks. Dang, that's a lot.
I know.
It's a lot, but I can't wait to. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that it's been that long.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
It really is.
I feel like we just started the show like
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
And I mean, it's like, and there's still, I feel like it just feels like so, it's weird. It's like the show has a great way of like this tension of like, yes, everything's happy right now, but at a turn of at a snap, everything can go real bad. Like everything's still so tentative, which is so exciting for me. Like that's just great drama, you know? Like, it's like, yes, like here we have like and it just kind of it just really emphasizes trauma and how even though you can take so many steps forward, it just takes a snap for trauma to just push you 1,000 steps back. So it's like it's a very interesting way. I'm really excited for what's to come, and I can't wait to talk about it some more next year.
Yay!
All right, well,
yay!
That does it for us. Thank you so much for listening to us, for enjoying this ride. You can find out all the info on this podcast at overlyanimated.com. You can join us on Discord to text chat about animation at overlyanimated.com/Discord. Seriously, like, want to talk Fruits Basket? We'll be there. So like, just like we need to fill up the time in between seasons. So
for
what better way?
Exactly.
So what better way to talk about like Kazuma's voice, you know? Let's just fill up that time just talking about his voice and how great it is.
Or Kagura. I'm starting to feel a little bad for Kagura.
Oh my god, she's fighting.
She left early, and Yuki, like, he's like, oh, she's so strong. He knows she knows that like Toru's what Kyo needs, and that's so sad to me.
I know.
It's so sad.
And I mean, she's so sorry. She still came back, and she's still like
she's
smiling.
Signing up for the dojo. I think right now she's just like, well, I'm not going to give up that easy. I'm going to try my best, which I can appreciate, but it just hurts when you feel like you can't be what you want for somebody you care so much about at the time. So I feel for her.
And I think Toru is aware as well. Like Toru, when Yuki tells her like, oh, like she's fighting, and Toru has this expression on her face of like, oh my god, like, I think, like, Toru's slowly becoming aware that she's taken this girl's man, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh, no.
Like, also, like, Toru, like, I really like that it's not becoming, like, a fight between them. It's more just, like, this just sucks.
It's about who Kyo's gonna choose. It's not even up to them,
Exactly. And it's they both are like, this isn't about us. It's about
what Kyo wants. Yeah,
exactly. It's like we're not gonna fight what he needs, what he wants. But anyway, so again, find us on Discord to have these types of discussions. You can support us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Katrin, aka Patron Katrin. And thanks as always to our Patreon executive producers, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Beatrice, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.